new acre of land.
Young conservationists ask for a balance between oil drilling and open land.
This is NBC Montana, your first alert station. You're watching the news at 6.
New developments in the race for Montana's soon-to-be vacant U.S. Senate seat. Dirk Adams, a rancher from the small town of Wilsall, becomes the first Democrat to announce that he's seeking that seat. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Steve Fethweit.
I'm Heidi Miley. This announcement was big news in Wilsall today. The town has a population of less than 200 people. Adams is relatively unknown. To get the facts and try to track down Dirk Adams, NBC Montana's Jordan Moore went out to Wilsall today.
I traveled about an hour north of Bozeman here to Wilsall to learn more about Dirk Adams. I found most people in this town know who he is. Dirk Adams is no stranger to locals like Henry Ham.
I get along with him really well.
But now it's more than locals who are talking about Adams. Adams' announcement on Tuesday makes him the first Democrat to enter the race. Ham told me the news surprised him.
He's always been kind of a private person, you know.
I asked folks around town what they knew about Adams.
He's been doing business with us for, I would say as long as I've been here.
Further up the road, I spoke with Don Scott. He's the manager of Park Farmers Co-op. Having worked here for 24 years, he has the hope Adams will be able to represent the needs of a small rural town.
To have somebody in that's been here, understands who we are and what we're about, and the importance of what's important to our community, like agriculture and some of the business issues we have.
I was about to leave, gassing up my car, when I came across one more local, Rich Schaefer. He told me he'd heard the news, but says right now folks are thinking about other things, not necessarily politics.
I don't think that it means too awful much to too many people here. They're too busy trying to bring in the hay, take care of depressed farm and stock prices, and keep their ranches going.
I was able to speak with Adams over the phone Thursday evening. He tells me his major platform will be job creation. Reporting in Wilsall, Jordan Moore, NBC Montana.
Few more facts now about this 2014 Senate race. Dirk Adams is the first Democrat to announce a run. Several high-profile Democrats have said no, they won't run, including former Governor Brian Schweitzer and Superintendent of Public Instruction Denise Juneau. 2 Republicans have announced bids. Former State Senator Corey Stapleton and current State Representative Champ Edmonds. Current U.S. Representative Steve Daines has said he is considering a run.
A weather alert as another round of hot weather arrives, and people do their best to beat the heat. Our crews caught a line just outside of the Big Dipper tonight in Missoula. Looks like they do have the right idea there. Chief Meteorologist Mark Hake is over in the Weather Center with more. And Mark, how long are we expecting to have to deal with the heat?
All right, well, one more day of very hot weather and then a little break coming up for Saturday and Sunday as a weak front moves in. Unfortunately, that front will be kicking up the winds, and by tomorrow afternoon, a red flag warning has been issued for most forested areas from Missoula south and eastward into Butte and southwest Montana. Lots of sunshine right now. Notice, though, clouds and precipitation out in western Washington, that in advance of a Pacific cold front that will be moving into the area by tomorrow. Overnight, though, just a nice summer night. Clear skies, west winds 5 to 15 miles per hour early with a low of 53. Same thing in Kalispell with a low temperature down to about 50 degrees. Very little beneficial rain with the front, but there will be a chance for a few showers and thunderstorms. I'll have more on that in my first alert forecast.
Wildfire first alert tonight in the Flathead Valley. The fire officials there are very concerned about fire safety as we're moving now into more hot weather.
We're told the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation has responded to 21 fires over the last 30 days, 18 human-caused. Despite some moisture in the valley, the Flathead National Forest has raised the fire danger back to high again this week. Fire Service Area Manager Lincoln Shute says that agencies are often called to human-caused illegal burns that pull crews away from lightning starts and other fires that are of larger concern.
It's just a recipe for disaster, especially the human cause seem to be more around where there's residential also. So, you know, that's a real concern that, you know, we have people's homes and private property. We've been lucky so far, and we'd really like to keep it that way, but we definitely need the public's help.
And Shute reminds us debris burning is closed and all campfires must be tended until they are cold to the touch.
A Denver-based conservation group is in Missoula to begin what it's calling its Road to Equal Ground campaign tour. The Equal Ground Coalition wants Congress to give as much status to protecting open lands as it does to oil drilling. Kevin Mackey reports.
A half-dozen young conservationists are traveling in a van all over the West. The Equal Ground campaign tour is gathering stories from conservationists.
And our goal is to lend those folks a megaphone so that Washington can understand not only how important conservation is for recreation and quality of life in places like Montana, but also how important it is to our economy.
Kincaid says our last Congress was the first one since World War II that did not create any new open space as a park, wilderness area, or national monument.
It's important that we have domestic energy production, but it's also important that we protect our heritage and our legacy of conservation.
You know, Montana's got the last intact ecosystem in the lower 48.
Sarah Cobbler says a broad spectrum of Montanans want to maintain that natural environment.
I think it's a good idea.
But almost every American depends on this: oil and gas. Of course, people do drive their cars to get to wilderness areas, to bike and to hike. And so it's a balancing act we struggle with all the time.
If we don't start taking care of our natural resources a lot better, pretty soon they're all going to be gone.
Montana does have its wilderness and parks. Some people ask, do we need more open public land?
I think we have a pretty good amount right now.
Enough of the wilderness has been saved that it's still there.
The young conservationists have a blueprint for balance, protecting America's public lands for future generations amid the energy boom. Equal Ground says most public land in the West is currently unprotected and could be lost and should not be taken for granted. Kevin Mackey, NBC, Montana.
A consumer advocacy group is speaking out against Google after the internet giant's lawyers defended its scanning of people's Gmail messages.